transmission line. It will be the second part of module 1 of your MWS subject. So in this module 1, the first part is discuss about devices, microwave devices, and the second part is about transmission line. Okay. Now, first let me discuss about this transmission line. Then we will jump into this devices, microwave devices. Different sort of devices are there: source as well as load, and what are the devices present between from one end to the other end. That also we will discuss. Now, basically, this is a particular medium. Okay. In this particular medium, we had a generator, okay, and this particular side I can say this is called as a load. In the terms of microwave engineering, in the terms of communication, I can say this generator as a transmitter end, load is a receiver end, and the medium through which my information is going to be propagating towards the receiver is called as channel. So this is the basic concept of your communication in the system. Now in microwave engineering, what happens? We have sources. That sources I will call as generator. That is called microwave sources. Okay, microwave sources. Then similarly, at this particular channel, and whenever we are propagating this source, either we can propagate with respect to wireless or with respect to wire. If there is a fixed line between transmitter and receiver, then I will call it is a fixed line communication. Okay, fixed line communication. Though we are using the microwaves, but if there is no fixed line, means if I am escalating this particular connection and this channel is considered as a free space, then I will say it is called as a wireless communication. So this channel plays a vital role. Now if I will say channel is fixed line, okay, then my communication system comes under fixed line communication, or I will say it is called as line communication. Okay, in which a fixed line will be present between transmitter and receiver end, and that line will act as a channel. Similarly, if the channel is a free space, means if there is no connection, means from transmitter to receiver there is no fixed channel. Like our cellular phone, we have a transmitter at one end, we have a receiver at one end, one mobile phone, and between us there is no fixed line, due to which the communication takes place wirelessly. So if it is a free space, then I will say it is called wireless communication. If there is a fixed line, then I will say it is called as a line communication. Now depending upon this scenario, I need to synchronize my devices. I need to synchronize my system through which the information can be generated from one end and delivered to the other end. Now the scenario is what? Transmitter end, receiver end, and this is a particular channel. Now if this channel is a free space, suppose this is one cellular phone 1 and this is a cellular phone 2, and the communication takes place between them is a wireless, and the channel is called what? Channel is a free space propagation. Okay, and the channel I can specify with free space, means there is no link between one end to the other end. And when I am transmitting the signal, it will be in a form of EM waves. Okay, it will be in a form of EM wave. So transmitting an EM wave at a receiver end, EM wave is going to be received at the receiver section. Now, if I will say with respect to these microwave devices means, let us consider a fixed channel scenario. In this fixed setup, this is my source, this is my load, and this is my channel. Okay. Now this source, I can say it is called a generator. From this microwave sources are generated. Okay, microwave sources, once it is generated, it need to propagate through a particular medium. Now this medium is called as channel. Now in this medium, n number of devices we are going to use. Suppose if I want to distribute my power, then I will use the power divider. Suppose if I want to circulate the power from one end to the other end, then I will use circulators. Different sort of devices are going to be used with respect to this channel through which my source or the generated data must be delivered at the load end. So at the load end, what happens? We are considering as a receiver in our communication system, but when I will discuss with respect to device, then I will say it is called load. Why I am saying it is called load? Because we are delivering the power at the load. So whatever these things we are propagating through this particular channel, it will be in terms of potential and current. But when I will use the wireless communication, at that particular time I will use with respect to electric field and magnetic field. Now if it is a fixed line, here the generator side I can consider V and I, as well as at the load end the V and I, output voltage and output current, input voltage, input current. Now this will be the power which is going to be delivered to the channel, and the channel will have some sort of characteristics in which additional noise will have affect our information, some sort of power dissipation will be there, and then we are delivering the output power at the load. So this output power at the load is measured with respect to potential and current. Now why I am discussing with respect to potential and current? Because here we are considering it is a fixed line, and in fixed line, always remember we are using the concept of potential and current. But when we are using, suppose this is one cellular phone C1, this is one cellular phone C2, this is one cellular phone C3. This is about fixed line. Here I am using if it is a free space propagation. Okay, and all these things are two-way communication is done between these two. So here what happens, if I make a conference call, that means a free space propagation is going to be used. In this there is no fixed line. Only the thing we are using the electromagnetic waves, EM waves. Okay, electric field and magnetic field. Now how it is related with respect to potential and current? The potential and current basically used when we are using the fixed line. The fixed line concept. If it is a wireless, then I must convert the potential into electric field and the current into magnetic field. So this potential is related with respect to electric field, and this magnetic field is related with respect to current. Now how it is related? We have certain Maxwell equations. Maxwell equation for constant, for static as well as time varying. We had a Gauss law for electrostatic. Okay, we had a Gauss law for electrostatic. This Gauss law for electrostatics will form a relationship between potential and electric field. How? We had total potential is equals to minus E dot dl. This equation is also called as energy conservation law for electrostatic. Now it is V is equals to E dot dl, means the potential is observed at a certain point due to the presence of electric field which is generated by a particular source. So here you can see the potential and electric fields are interrelated. So I can convert the potential analogy in terms of electric field analogy. Then similarly we have Ampere circuit law. Okay, Ampere circuit law. This Ampere circuit law states that my current is equals to H dot dl. That means it indicates that when a particular current is flowing through this conductor, the magnetic field will be generated in the anti-clockwise direction with the help of right hand thumb rule, and it states that if if you take an elemental length in this particular path and multiply with respect to this h, it indicates that tangential component of magnetic field is multiplied with the elemental path, you will get the total current. So this is called as our line integration. So line integration h dot dl is equals to I, v is equals to line integration E dot dl. These equations can also be analyzed with the help of units, as we know that electric field is having a unit volts per meter. Volts per meter means the voltage divided by a small distance. If you take this distance to left hand side, V by L, which is equals to E, or this E you can write minus dV by dl. Okay, so this is also one relation. Similarly, this magnetic field, we had a unit, it is called ampere per meter, or I can write current per unit length. Here I can write H is equals to dI by dl. So with the help of this relation, we can convert the potential with respect to electric field and current with respect to the magnetic field, which is represented by H. Okay, here I have written EM wave. This magnetic field notation is H, electric field notation is E. So these are the basic things behind how these electric field and magnetic fields are related with respect to potential and current, because we have to generate the EM wave with the help of this wireless communication. If I am using this C1 as a cellular phone, my potential and current of a particular device need to be converted into electric field and magnetic field. And what is the device is going to be converted? The device is basically used as an antenna. The antenna is a basic element which converts your potential and current into electric field and magnetic field. The antenna is basically used to transmit the signal as well as to receive the signal. It acts as a radiation. It will transmit the signal in the form of a radiation pattern in which electric field and magnetic field will be created and my information is going to be delivered. So these are the basic things behind the relationship of electric field and magnetic field. If it is a fixed channel, we have to analyze with respect to potential and current. If it is a free space propagation, these are the cellular phone, then we have to analyze with respect to electric field and magnetic field. And how we will analyze? With the help of these two Maxwell equations. One with respect to Gauss law, it is not a Gauss law, I will say it is called energy conservation law. Gauss law is D dot ds is equals to psi. I will say it is called energy conservation law in electrostatic. Energy conservation law. Okay, Gauss law is different. Gauss law states that d dot ds is equals to net flux coming out from the surface. This is also one law. This is called Gauss law. So this is the energy conservation law, which forms a relationship between potential and electric field. If you take the total potential in a closed field, it will be zero. Okay. So this is energy conservation law. Make some changes. Similarly, this is our Ampere circuit law, which forms a relationship between current and magnetic field. This is potential and electric field. Okay. Similarly, this is the basic scenario behind the communication system, how the communication system works in fixed line and how the communication system works in wireless communication. Or if there is no fixed line between these sort of devices, if it is connected as a wireless, propagation will be in a free space medium with the help of EM waves, here with the help of potential and current. So before discussing about the transmission line, let me discuss about few things, how these EM waves are generated and how we are analyzing the electromagnetic fields with respect to potential and current. Okay. For that, in field theory, people have identified few Maxwell equations. Four Maxwell's equations are available. Four Maxwell equations. We have undergone through static as well as for time harmonic. If it is static, then I will say del dot D is equals to rho V, that is called Gauss law in electrostatic. Then del cross E is equals to 0. This is called energy conservation law for electrostatic, that is V dot EL, what we have identified. Then del dot D is equals to 0, means net flux for a magnetic field will be going to 0, and del cross H is equals to J. This is called Ampere's circuit law for a static condition. Okay, it is for static. Similarly, if it is dynamic, means time varying. Dynamic, or it is called time varying. So with respect to time, if electric field and magnetic field both varies, then these are the certain equations which is going to change, and some equation will remain as it is. First, del dot D is equals to rho V. It remains constant, it is not varies. Similarly, in this case, del cross E means if the magnetic field is going to change, some potential drop will be there. That is due to the back EMF. Okay, and that is called as our del cross E is equals to minus del V by del T. This indicates what? This indicates the Faraday law. Faraday law indicates that induced EMF. This equation itself is called as induced EMF. V EMF is equals to minus del V by del T. Okay. Now this is called my variation. If there is a variation in your magnetic flux, some potential drop will be there in that particular circuit, that is called Faraday law. Similarly, the other law is del dot V is equals to 0. This remains as it is because net flux in a closed loop must be equal to 0. There is no variation. And this last equation we have del cross H is equals to J plus del D by del T. This indicates that if the electric field is going to change, or if the electric field is varying with respect to the magnetic field, some electrical displacement will be taken place in that circuit. And that electrical displacement is indicated by del D by del T. If it is static, then it is only J, current density. But if it is varying, then additional current is going to come into picture, that is called electrical displacement. So this whole equation is called as electrical displacement. This is the Gauss law for magnetostatic, which remain constant for static as well as for dynamic. Similarly, the variation with respect to magnetic field, if it is varying with respect to time, there must be some sort of potential law, that is called VEMF, that is the Faraday law. Similarly, the Gauss law for electrostatic is also remain constant, that is del dot D is equals to rho V. Now these are time dependent or time varying. Now once this time varying is known, you can go for harmonic component. Harmonic means it is a frequency dependent component. Once you convert this time to frequency, it is easy to analyze the waves, because waves are basically identified with respect to certain factor. One is frequency, one is velocity, one is wavelength. So if you convert any of these three components, you can represent the waves. You can represent the AM waves, which is propagating in a particular medium. Different mediums are there, that also I will discuss. But first let me represent the time harmonic. Okay, time harmonic. So in time harmonic, when I am representing, always remember the dynamic means you have to represent in time domain. Okay, but when it is harmonic, you need to represent in frequency domain. You have to convert the whole equation into frequency domain, and that to be in a particular phasor form. Because in harmonic we have two components, one is phasor form and one is static form. Okay, time dependent form and time independent form. If it is a time dependent form, you have to represent with respect to time. If it is a time independent, means you have to extract the value with respect to time. For example, if I am writing y of t is equals to AC cos of omega ct minus beta z dot ax. Let us consider this is a particular equation. This y of t is a signal which is propagating along x-axis, okay, and the total wave is propagating along z-axis. So this is the time dependent, or I will say this equation is called as instantaneous equation, okay, because it depends upon time. But same thing if I will write in terms of phasor, phasor means you have to represent in terms of time independent. How? Cos means it is a real part. So I will write real a suffix c e to the power j omega ct minus beta z whole into ax. This is the direction, no problem. So here AC e to the power j. Now e to the power j theta I can write cos theta plus j sin theta. Now if you take the real part of this, you will get cos term. If you take imaginary part of this, you will get a imaginary term. So here I will write real AC e to the power j omega ct e to the power minus j beta z dot ax. I will write this AC into this component as a phasor form. I will write a suffix s e to the power j omega ct dot ax. Okay. Now, if y of t is an instantaneous form, what will be its phasor form? I will write ys. In which particular direction? In particular direction of z. So ys of z is equals to as e to the power minus j beta z dot ax. So this is my phasor. So if you convert your time domain component which is instantaneous to phasor form, that means you have converted it into the wave. The waves are represented in terms of phasor component. This phasor component will help you to understand the electric field and magnetic field with respect to the Maxwell equations. Now here in time harmonic, you need to convert the time domain into the frequency domain. How can we convert time domain to frequency domain? Simple, with the help of Fourier transformation. So here d is replaced by ds. Rho v is the volume charge density, is also represented by del v suffix s. Okay, del v suffix s. Rho vs. Done. This is the Gauss law for electrostatic. Now here del cross es is equals to, now del by del t. Del by del t is a differential property with respect to the time domain. I have to convert it to a frequency domain. So we have a property in Fourier transform, differentiation property. So in that differentiation property, del by del t is represented by j omega. So here I will write minus j omega, and this b will become bs. Okay. Similarly, the Gauss law for magnetostatic, del dot bs is equals to 0. Now here del cross hs. Okay, h is replaced by hs because we need to convert it to harmonic, means frequency dependent, time means we have to suppress this omega ct. Only the phasor component need to be represented. So H will become as Hs. These all are instantaneous form. We are converting into the phasor form. So H will become Hs. As we know, this J is a current density is sigma E. Sigma remains as it is. E will become Es. Okay. Plus again it is del by del T. So del by del T means it is J omega. What is D? D is the flux density, which is equals to epsilon into E. This is the basic relation as our G. Similarly, here I will write epsilon into Es. So here I can write sigma plus J omega epsilon into Es. So this is del cross Hs. So these all are time harmonic. That means we have represented the time domain signal into a frequency domain signal. Okay, frequency domain signal. Static, dynamic, and time harmonic. Now, when this time harmonic come into picture, question comes. The time harmonic will come into picture when we are using the wireless communication. Means if there is a no fixed line between one end to the other end, we have to use the wave concept, electromagnetic wave concept. So if it is an electromagnetic wave concept, we need to represent all our fields in terms of phasor form. And then again we can recover from phasor to instantaneous form. So it is easy to understand. We need to represent our electric field and magnetic field with the help of these sort of relations. And this relation will help us to generate the wave equation, because a particular wave is nothing but transformation of energy, or I will say it is called transporting of energy from one end to the other end. And this energy is nothing but it is the electric field and magnetic field. How this can be represented? With the help of power. The power, as we know that it is potential into current, similarly you can represent it is E cross H with the help of pointing vector. Okay, so that E cross H will reveal you the total power present in a particular EM wave. Okay, so for that we need a particular wave equation. Why I am discussing all these things? Because the same representation we are going to analyze for our transmission line in the form of potential and current. So it will be easy to correlate. So here I will write the wave equation. Okay. So in this wave equation, we have to use the time harmonic representation. And for that, I am using the medium. It is a linear, isotropic, and homogeneous in nature. Homogeneous in nature. So these are the characteristics of the medium through which my electromagnetic wave is going to propagate. Okay. Now, when as it depends upon medium, basically there are four mediums are there. Basically, four medium were classified, and these mediums are classified with the help of conductivity, permittivity, and permeability. These are the three basic fundamental components of a particular wave theory. Because waves, electromagnetic waves depends upon the nature of medium. As you can see here, the current density depends upon current. So it will current a particular conductivity into electric field. Similarly, flux density depends upon the nature of a medium, and the medium is identified with the help of permittivity and electric field. Okay. So first is our air medium. Then second is our lossless medium. Okay. And third is our lossy medium. Okay. And fourth is our good conductor. Now this lossy medium and lossless medium, these are the dielectric medium. Okay. dielectric medium. Lossless dielectric medium, lossy dielectric medium. How we are going to analyze with respect to this so that the wave equation can be found? If it is air medium, the conductivity is 0 because resistivity is infinite. So here sigma is equals to 0 because there is no conductor between you and me. It is a free space. Your permittivity epsilon is equals to epsilon r. We had a relation epsilon is equals to epsilon r into epsilon naught for air medium. This value is 1. Similarly, mu r value is 1. So we will have mu is equals to mu naught for air medium. Similarly, if it is lossless is quite similar to your air medium, but since it is a dielectric, it will have the relative permittivity. So epsilon is equals to epsilon 0 into epsilon r, and mu is equals to mu 0 into mu r. So this is the difference. Again, if it is a lossy medium, lossy means some losses will be there. How the losses will be there? When the conductivity is present. So here sigma is not equals to 0. Epsilon is equals to epsilon 0 into epsilon r. Mu is equals to mu 0 into mu r. So this is the lossy medium. Again, if it is good conductor means sigma value is very high, equivalent to infinite. Epsilon is equals to epsilon 0 and mu is equals to mu 0 into mu r. So these are the basic characteristics of a medium. How we can characterize the medium? With the help of these three parameters. With the help of these three parameters, we can judge whether it is a lossless medium, whether it is a lossy dielectric medium, whether it is a good conductor medium, whether it is a air medium. Okay. Now with the help of these mediums, we can form a particular wave equation. Okay. Now in that wave equation, we have assumed that wave is propagating in a linear medium. It must be isotropic and homogeneous in nature. Okay. Why it is homogeneous in nature? Because my wave equation need to be a homogeneous equation. And we will see that wave equation is represented with a differential equation which is homogeneous in nature. We will prove it. So, if it is a wave equation, we are considering for a lossy medium, let us consider, okay, and we have considered it is a lossless condition or air medium, sigma is equals to 0, okay, and free your epsilon is equals to epsilon naught, mu is equals to mu naught or mu r, you can put epsilon r also, no problem. And most important thing, if the surface charge density or the volume charge density of that medium is 0, that indicates the isotropic in nature, equipotential surface. Okay, so here rho v is 0. Now, as we have our Maxwell equations, in that Maxwell equation we have four basic equations, that is del dot Bs is equals to rho Bs. Now here we have took that volume charge density is 0, you can put as 0. Then second, del cross Ps is equals to minus j omega Bs. Okay. Now this B you need to represent it E and H, because when we are representing the wave equation, it must be represented in electric field and magnetic field equations. So this I can write minus j omega mu into Hs. Done. Then del dot Bs is equals to 0, which I can write del dot Hs, because B is equals to mu H. Take the mu, divide at the denominator of 0, it will become 0. And del cross Hs is equals to sigma plus j omega epsilon into Es over. So now here sigma is not equals to 0. Let us consider like this. equals to 0, epsilon and this much. Now, how we can form a wave equation? That is the most important question. With the help of this relation, how we can form? The simple analogy is when a particular EM wave is propagating. I will show. Suppose this is the transmitter part, this is the antenna through which the electromagnetic waves will be generated. Okay? And these electromagnetic waves, how it will generate? The electric fields are radial in nature, like this, and the magnetic fields are circular in nature, like this. So, like this, radiation from a particular source. Done. Now, when it is traveling, when it is delivered in a particular channel, it will move in a particular nature, that is called a wave. This is the particular wave. Okay? This is the particular wave. Let us consider it is y of t. I will relate this wave with respect to this. Now, when you see from this particular side, you can see only a circular path, like this. From this particular end, if you see, it will look like as a circle. Now, here the analogy says, your electric field and magnetic field both are perpendicular to each other, then only the maximum power is going to deliver. Because we have a pointing theorem, that is P is equals to E cross H. Or if I will solve these two vectors, I will get EH sin theta. Now when theta is equals to 90 degree, then my power will have E dot, means E and H will have a maximum value. Multiply this dot product of sin theta. So if theta is 90 degree, means perpendicular to each other. Okay. Now if theta is 0 degree, means parallel. So cross product for parallel it is 0. So this indicates what? That must be perpendicular to each other. Okay. Now let us consider, this is my z axis. These are the radial fields. Okay, these pink colors. These are my magnetic field, let us consider. Okay. Now let us consider this side, which is perpendicular to this. This is also one sort of fields. Similarly, these are the fields. Okay. Now, if it is z-axis, we can write AK is equals to AE cross AH. Now, in cross product, you have a relation AX, AY and AZ. Remember this cycle. If you take a cross product of AX cross AY, your direction will be AZ. If it is AY cross AZ, your direction will be positive AX. But if you rotate this cycle in anti-clockwise, you will get a negative direction. Okay. So let us see the total wave. This is the total wave. This is the total EM wave is propagating along z-axis. Okay. Now if you see from this side, it will look like it's a circle. Done. Now when it will become as AZ, this total wave is propagating along AZ. So when will it happen? When your AX is cross product with AY. That means in place of AE, I can write AX. In place of AH, I can write AY. So that means AX cross AY is equals to AZ. Then now in three-dimensional, let us consider this is one axis. This is z-axis, this is y-axis and this is x-axis. Now as you can see, electric field is moving along x-axis. That means this yellow color line, I can say it is E field. and the pink color line, this one I can say it is called H field. Done. That means these two are perpendicular to each other. Now in this side I will see this total as this. This is my one signal. This is your y-axis and this is your x-axis. So this y-axis you can say it is magnetic field and x-axis you can say it is electric field. These two are perpendicular to each other. Now when these two are perpendicular to each other, then only the maximum power is going to deliver. So this is the basic concept why we are taking perpendicular to each other. Maximum power must be delivered along z-axis. Okay. So maximum power is delivered with respect to z-axis means it must satisfy the quantity. Electric field and magnetic field must be perpendicular to each other. So when it is perpendicular, if you see from this side, this all look like as a rotating. Means the magnetic fields are dotted in lines and the electric fields are originating from a particular source, radially outward. Like this. So like this, if it is propagating continuously, that means it satisfies the rotationals. Electric field is rotating as well as magnetic field is also rotating with respect to time. So if it is rotating with respect to time, that means it must be a rotational vector. Rotational vector means what? Electric field is a vector, magnetic field is also a vector. So both vector must be rotational in nature. So it must satisfy the Maxwell equation. These two equations are zero. No need of these two equations. The wave depends upon the variations. This is one equation and this is one particular equation. With the help of these two, we have to analyze the wave equation. I need to rotate this h. I need to rotate this es. If it is rotational, del cross hs must have some sort of value. Del cross es must have some sort of value. Okay. So these must satisfy the rotational vectors. Now once these rotational vectors are satisfied, you can obtain your wave equation. The small derivation is there that I will do, and then I will enclose. The next class will discuss about the transmission line and we will correlate those things. So for rotational, because electric field and magnetic field which is varying are rotational in nature. It must satisfy the rotational condition. So for that what I will do, I will take a curl of this particular equation because I need to rotate this magnetic field and it must satisfy the rotational condition. Okay. So if I am taking curl, means del cross Es is equals to minus j omega mu into del cross hs. So it is a rotational vector. It must satisfy. This left hand side must not be zero. That is called rotational in nature. If it is zero, it is irrotational. It is not rotating. Okay. And this is the first equation. Second equation is what? You have to rotate the electric field also as well as magnetic field. Hs. So it is sigma plus j omega epsilon into Es. And this Es must rotate del cross Es. Equation 2. Done. Now in vectors we have a relation del cross of del cross A. Del cross of del cross A vector, which is equals to del of del dot A minus del square A. This is the relation. Gradient of divergence of A minus del square of A. Now if you substitute Es here, you will get del of del dot Es minus del square Es if A is replaced by Es. Now as you know that del dot ds is 0, ds can be represented with respect to Es, because epsilon, if I will take right hand side, it will become 0. So this term is 0. We are having only minus del square A. Similarly, if you substitute in place of A as Hs, again we will get del dot Hs minus del square Hs. Now from this equation you can see del dot Vs is 0, del dot Hs is also 0. So this component is also going to be 0. Only we need to replace this A vector with respect to this and we will get our left hand side. So minus del square Es for this, minus del square Hs for this. So my equations will become first equation is minus del square Es is equals to minus j omega whole into del cross Hs. Minus get plus. So del square Es in place of del square Hs, what is del cross Hs? Del cross Hs is j omega epsilon into Es. That we can substitute. So j omega sigma plus j omega epsilon into S. This is the first equation. Similarly, if you solve for this equation, you will get del square Hs is equals to j omega mu sigma plus j omega epsilon into Hs. Then what is the similarity? This particular constant is a similarity. So the wave equation can be written as del square Es is equals to gamma square Es and del square Hs is equals to gamma square Hs. Done. So this is the first wave equation and this is the second wave equation. And these two equations are called Helmholtz equation. Because Helmholtz is the scientist who have identified these two relations. Okay. Now this gamma square is equals to j omega mu whole into sigma plus j omega epsilon. So this gamma, if I will solve, it consists of two factors. One is attenuation and one is phase constant. Because gamma is called as a propagation constant of a medium, and that medium depends upon permeability, conductivity and epsilon. As I have discussed earlier, that our total medium is going to be identified with respect to three factors. One is permeability, conductivity and permittivity. So it's satisfied. So whatever the wave is propagating in that medium, it must have some constant value. This constant is called as a propagation constant. Okay, it is dimensionless in it. Do not have any sort of unit. Okay, it is a constant value, constant factor. But as you can see, if you solve this, you will get a real part, you will get an imaginary part. Real part is called as attenuation constant and the imaginary part is called as phase constant. Okay, and as I have written earlier that my wave equation is a linear, isotropic and homogeneous. You can see it is a double derivative equation and that it is homogeneous in nature. How? If I will take del square Es, if you take this constant on the left hand side, minus gamma square Es is equals to 0 and del square Hs minus gamma square Es is equals to 0. So these are the two relations for a homogeneous in nature. Okay, and this gamma is called what? It is a propagation constant. Alpha is attenuation constant. Okay, attenuation constant, but it is having a unit. It is called a Nepper per meter, and beta is called as a phase constant. Phase constant. The unit is rad per meter. Okay, why it is with respect to meter? Because the wave is propagating with respect to distance. So whatever the constant we will get, it will be with respect to the distance. But the propagation constant is remain constant throughout the system. Attenuation constant measured in Weber per meter. Beta is a phase constant measured in radian per meter. So these are the two wave equation for wireless communication. Means if there is a no fixed wire between one component to the another component. But if it is fixed line is provided, like transmission lines is a fixed line from source and to the load end. So that means in that case the potential and current will come into picture. So in place of this electric field, I will analyze with respect to potential. In place of magnetic field, I will analyze with respect to current. So this is the two correlation between the wave equation in terms of transmission line or a fixed line communication and with respect to the wireless communication. So whatever I have discussed, this is with respect to the free space propagation. The wave equation what I have identified, it is with respect to free space. This Helmholtz equation is with respect to the free space communication. It depends upon the three factors. One conductivity, one permittivity, one permeability, depend upon the characteristics of a particular medium. If it is an air medium, suppose sigma is S0, epsilon is epsilon 0, mu is mu naught, and identify the relation. If it is a lossy medium, these are the relation. If it is a lossless medium, put this condition of that sigma, epsilon and mu value, you will get your equations. But these are the basic equations. Basic equation to analyze how the electric field and magnetic field are analyzed with respect to waves. Because these are the two wave equations. If it is propagating in a certain medium. Now if it is propagating in air medium, let us consider for air medium. For air medium, if there is a free space propagation, which we are using the cellular communication, let us consider it. For air, sigma is 0, mu is mu naught, and epsilon is equals to epsilon. So these are the three conditions. Now we have gamma square. Okay, gamma square is equals to j omega mu naught. Here it is sigma plus sigma will be 0 and we will have j omega epsilon naught. If you solve this, you will get j omega is minus 1 omega square mu naught into epsilon naught square. The mu naught square, it is mu naught into epsilon naught, okay, and omega is omega square. Now gamma, if you solve, minus, take this minus inside of omega square mu naught into epsilon naught. As we know that root over of minus 1 is j and omega square will become omega, and it is root over of mu naught into epsilon naught. Now what is this? If I will compare this equation, there is no real term. That means beta is equals to omega root over of mu naught. This indicate what? This indicate when we are using the free space communication from one end to the other end, there is no conductivity, due to which no losses are there. For ideal case I am saying, no losses are there. That means no attenuation constant. You can see there is no attenuation constant, no real factor, only the imaginary factor. That means only phase constant is going to be identified. This indicate what? For air medium, your alpha is 0 and beta is equals to omega root over of mu naught by epsilon naught. Okay, so that means it depends upon the phase constant, and that too, the phase constant will have a relation, as I have told, beta is equals to 2 pi by lambda. Here we have beta omega root over of mu naught into epsilon naught. Now this mu naught into epsilon naught is nothing but speed of light. Is all relation you have undergone through the field theory. So c is equals to this. I can write omega by c. Then omega can be written as 2 pi f divided by c. Now what is this? F divided by c is lambda. So it is 2 pi by lambda. So like this we can prove. This is proved or yes, it is proved. So that means when it is a free space propagation, we are concentrating only with respect to the phase constant. Attenuation constant, it is 0, and our wave is represented in terms of electric field and magnetic field. Okay. Next class, we will correlate all this electric field and magnetic field with respect to potential and current. And the wave equation also be represented with respect to potential and current. And we can form certain relations for different sort of lines. Okay. Thank you.